In this video, we're going to take a look at how we can create a line of best fit using our calculator. Now, I have all the commands listed out here for how we would do this, but I'm, of course, not going to read off of these. I'm going to go ahead and instead take a look at example number 3 down below so we can try to do this in the context of a particular question. So let's take a look at what we have here. All right, the weight and highway miles per gallon were recorded for 10 randomly selected cars to see if weight had any effect on fuel efficiency. Okay, so I'm looking to see if there's a relationship, and I kind of have two variables that are being formed right now. I kind of have an X variable of like weight of a car measured in pounds, and I have a Y variable, highway miles per gallon. And again, I can imagine a nice little scatter diagram being created here. What I'm going to ask you to do right away is to try to go to your calculator and see if you can enter these values into a list like I've already done here. So pause the video and see if you can enter these just so you know that you're able to successfully create one of these pictures. When you unpause the video, you'll see me go through the creation of the line and the scatter diagram as well. Okay, so if I have all this information in my calculator, if I wanted to create a scatter diagram, I know I could click second and my Y equals button. I could go underneath my first plot option, keeping sure that it's on, making sure I have this first type selected and I have the appropriate lists. I click, again, zoom and the number 9. Okay, so this is the set of dots that I have. Interestingly, this is actually the exact same set of dots that we talked about in the last video. You can see the comparison in the pictures. Okay, so when I take a look at these dots, I can see that again, there's a nice downward trend, and I could start to maybe guess where I think an arrow would actually occur, or where a nice line, excuse me, would actually occur. But the calculator can compute this line precisely. In order to compute this line of best fit, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to use that lin reg t-test that we talked about in some of the previous sections. Specifically in the last section, we used it to find the value of little r. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to click the stat button, I'm going to go over to tests, and I'm going to go down and do my lin reg t-test. Now, I'm going to go ahead here and I'm going to click on list number 1 and list number 2. I want to make sure I use those. I don't actually have to care at all about what this hypothesis step is because I'm not doing a hypothesis test. But underneath this, reg EQ, that's shorthand for regression equation, which is again just the fancy way of stating line of best fit. What we want the calculator to do is not just to tell us what the line of best fit is, but we'd like the calculator to kind of save that equation that it's going to come up with into the graphing utility of the calculator so we can see that it's going to be there. So before I go ahead and enter this, I want everybody to go ahead and click on their Y equals button on the calculator. Now, it's possible you may have some stuff typed in here. And if you do, make sure you clear all of it out. In fact, if you've been having trouble making any of the previous plots, there's a good chance that maybe there's something sitting in here that's been getting in the way and causing an error on the calculator. So notice that all of my stuff here is completely empty. But now if I go back to rerun the test, I can ask the calculator to save the equation for the line of best fit. I can ask the calculator to save it in that location so it's ready to graph. To do that, I'm going to hit the following sequence of buttons. And remember, this is all posted in the box up above. You'll see here that there's a vars button. It's where we normally went to get our distributions menu. But this time I'm just going to hit the vars button. It should pull up a screen like this. And I want to scroll over so I get to yvars. Underneath yvars, I have a function because I want to graph a function. I want to graph that line. And this is just asking me where it wants it to be saved. And I'm just going to pick y number 1. Okay. Notice that if I go ahead and do this and I hit calculate, I'm going to get something. Right here at the top, you'll see that I get y is equal to a plus b times x. This is a formula for the equation of a line. You'll notice it's very similar to the equation of a line you had back in an algebra class. The values of a and b are numbers, and they have to be replaced, right? Because right now I need to know, is this supposed to be like y equals 2x plus, or 2 plus 3x, supposed to be negative 1/10 plus 5x? What are those numbers for a and b? Well, if you look down a little bit, you'll see down here that the calculator actually gives us values for a and b. So notice I'm going to go ahead really quickly, and on my example number 3 in the notes, for part A, I'm actually going to go ahead and write down my equation for my line of best fit. It's supposed to be y with a hat on it. Notice the calculator doesn't give this symbol. It just says regular y, but we should have y hat. And then I want to put a plus b times x. So the calculator down here says for a, it's 34.3 or 7359. Okay. So I'm just going to write that out rounded to those four places. So 34.7359. And then I have to do plus, and I'm going to write down the value of b and then multiply that by x. Notice here b is negative, so I'm going to need negative 0.0046 if I round. So I could say plus negative 0.0046 and then times x. Or, of course, if you would like, you could change that to a subtraction sign in the middle. And that, of course, is completely equivalent. So this right here represents my line of best fit. And here's the best part. If I go back to my calculator and I just click that y equals button, I will see that this formula has already been saved in the calculator, so I don't have to type it in. Take a look now. Underneath my Y1, that exact line has been typed in. It's there. So notice if I hit the graph button again, I'll see not only my dots, but also that line that best fits the data. So that's a pretty cool thing that the calculator can do all of this for us, so we don't actually have to crunch out too much by hand. In the next video, we're going to take a look at parts B through F of the next, or of example number 3, to see what are some of the things that we can do with this line once we have it. Why do we care about this line? And how does it help us understand the relationship between these two variables?